Welcome back once again, everyone, to Norton Man Reviews. I'm your host, John Norton, and we are going to be looking at something different today. We're going to be looking at my book. I've talked a lot about comics and about some of the art and stories and what I like and what I think works, what I think is funny, what I find interesting. And I just wanted people to know, I've mentioned that I've done some art and done my own book, so I just thought it was time to look at them a little bit. I've been putting this off for a while because I wanted to build up the audience a little bit. So maybe when I did do this, more people would be seeing this and maybe be a little bit more interested, maybe possibly buying it. But I thought now was an appropriate time. Before we get going, I just want to acknowledge the passing of Ed Piskor. I'm sure everyone knows what that's about and what's happened. I'm not going to go into the details of it, of the what and the how and the why. I wasn't really, I never really watched his channel, Comics Kayfabe, with him and Jim Rugg is his name, right? I watched a couple of videos and it just wasn't for me. And that's fine, but I want to recognize like the impact he had on the comics community and doing videos like these, just taking a camera, looking at something straight down and giving your thoughts on it. And I understand that they had a huge following. They had a huge influence on a bunch of people. They had a wealth of knowledge. And maybe if Ed wasn't there doing his thing, maybe I wouldn't be doing these videos today. So if you want to know more about the situation, you can look it up. My brother Rob on his channel, he did a very nice, lovely video tribute to him. So go and check that out. But one of the things I guess I learned from Rob's video is how I guess Ed would say make comics. So that's what I do, right? So I thought now would be an appropriate time to kind of look at some of my stuff, in that spirit. So as you can see, I have the 5 issues here. My brother Rob has also showcased these on his channel, which is very nice to watch for me. It's kind of crazy hearing someone else talk about your book in positive ways. And I even gave him the go ahead of like, hey, you bash Rob Liefeld, you talk about all these image guys and what they can and can't do, like don't hold anything back. And I'm sure he did a lot, honestly. He said he didn't, but I'm sure there are some art things, but he also acknowledged like, hey, I'm not a working professional with this. Like I have a full-time job. I'm a family man. I have a kid. I have a life outside of these. And, doing comics when it's not your main source of income can be extremely hard. So these first 5 issues are the origin story, and I'm going to talk about a little bit more of my thoughts of the comic and what I was thinking at the time and what I was trying to do and some of my thought processes as well. Some of you may find this interesting, and some of you probably don't give a shit, and this will be like one of my lowest reviewed videos ever. That's okay. I want to talk about it, so that's what we're going to do. We're not going to talk through all 5 of these issues, and we're going to start with issue number 1. So the way this came about, I've been drawing for years under the tutelage, you would say, of Rob. He started drawing at a young age, and as a young child, I know I was in 4th grade when I started, so I don't know what grade he was in. He's about like 5 years older than me, I think. So, I looked up to him. And so when he started drawing, I was, as a younger brother, wanted to copy him. And now I guess I'm copying him too with the videos. So, Robert's a trailblazer, I guess. So he started doing comics. I started following him, and we started creating our own little universe together. Coming up with characters, coming up with ideas, and a lot of that was put on the wayside as new stories and new ideas came up. But during a lot of that, I came up with a character named Kyle Sills. And he's in one of these. which we'll talk about later. And I remember I came up with him when I was in like 6th grade, I want to say. And for whatever reason, that character latched on to me. Like I identified with him, so I gave him a lot of my personality. I gave him like the basic look that I have, several character traits, sense of humor, all that kind of stuff. Like he was my voice. He was me, I was him kind of a thing. He was just like 1,000 times cooler. So it's kind of like, my fantasy life that I was putting into him. And I would make side characters, and like the one side character, like the main one, was his love interest, basically. And I named her Bliss. I got this name from a stripper. When I was younger, like you could go to one when like at the age of 18 here in Utah, where there was like no alcohol, and there was a stripper there whose name was Bliss. And she just had this look with like dark hair that I just like, oh my gosh, she's like one of the hottest things I've ever seen, especially at the time when I was like 18, 19 years old. And so I made a character off of her. Originally, I made her a stripper. I went away from that origin in this because, I don't know, that just was unnecessary. But I always had these thoughts of who she was and what she was. And it came to a time when someone suggested to me, like, hey, John, like, why don't you make a comic book and like sell it on Kickstarter? And I was like, that's not a bad idea. Like, why not? Like, what's the downside of that? Like, I make a comic, I put it on Kickstarter, it doesn't succeed. No skin off my back besides just like drawing and getting better. So I started doing that. And originally I was going to do it based off him, but I don't really have like the elevator pitch for him. Like, what does he do and what? Her, I had a little bit better of an idea of a character and a storyline and a mystery surrounding her. So I have since made her like the main character. And then Kyle, my main guy here, he became kind of the side character. They're not a love interest in this book, and that's not happened yet, but it will. But he's also like the comic relief, you could say, going forward. But he's not really heavily involved in these books. So this is kind of like her origin story. I don't remember where, like, all the ideas and where I came up with them, but she's kind of like, she was like an amalgamation of a lot of different ideas I had at the time. So I knew that so we'll get into it. I'll kind of talk about a little bit more of what I was thinking. Oh, there's my dude Kyle. There's the logo that I put on here. I did this. That was a picture that I drew for a cover for like a 4-page comic that I was able to contribute to. So that was the cover, and I thought that was kind of a cool like silhouette, and I was inspired by the Danger Girl symbol. So that's kind of where I got that. So and this was an old drawing I had done of him. So I just want to throw that in there on this like opening page where it's just kind of talking about thanking people. I thank Rob here for teaching me to draw. My buddy Jesse, he did the colors on most of these covers. He's an incredible artist himself, and he was able to do these colors. And thanking my girlfriend, now wife, Lori. So that's kind of the opening with the credits right there. So we start off, and you can tell, like, this is me drawing about 8 or 9 years ago. I can't even remember. Like, I probably should put like copyright information, printing information, but I just didn't think of that kind of stuff. So I just kind of whatever. So I started off and I put these quotes in the first 5 issues, and this was kind of a idea I got from the show Criminal Minds. My wife Lori was watching that, and they'd often in their show have a quote from somebody that kind of pertained to the story. So I found a bunch of ones that had the word bliss in it. So you got this woman, she's at a diner and there's like this bag and shit going on there. So I wanted the audience to discover things with her. Like, what is going on? Why is she here? What is she doing? We don't know, and neither does she. But I like the quote here: knowledge is power, power to do good or evil. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. As we get into the later issues, this will come, like, hopefully this will kind of like come full circle, like why I thought this was a good quote. Wolf Diner here, it's spelled with two O's. That was based off of he's now my friend, but he was my boss at one time. His name was James. Wolf was his last name. So just a little nod to him, Wolf Diner. I put a bunch of that in throughout the comics, and I eventually, like recently, just named like the fictional city that they're living in, Wolf City. Because I didn't know, at this time, I'm like, I don't know what city they're in. New York, Chicago. Do I do a fictional city? I don't know. None of it really mattered. The setting didn't really matter. But eventually I just named it Wolf City. So here she is, like at a diner. What's going on? Why is she like kind of slumped over, passed out? What's going on? And she kind of wakes up and like kind of gasps, like, like suddenly, like in shock, right? So she looks around and she's in a diner and she's like, where am I? What's going on? You got a few people down here, and I wasn't really initially going to make anything of this, but this guy right here is my dude Kyle, the main guy. Even though he's not a main character, I did actually throw him into the issues a little bit, more prominently later in some of the issues. And this guy I kind of based off Rob. He has some like, I don't know if Rob, you ever knew this, but he was supposed to have like some kind of sideburns and stuff. I don't know, that was kind of supposed to be you. But so she's looking, and there's coffee, and like this one is still warm, and like this one is kind of empty, so it's like she's been there for a minute. And she sees this bag, and she's like, what is going on? And like the waitress, I referenced that picture. I referenced this to like Google off the internet, referenced this from just some random Google search. So, she checks in on her, and she's like, you look okay? You look like you had a run-in with the Reaper. Run-in with the Reaper, like that's going to be, I tried to put things in here. I had these thoughts of how I wanted the story to kind of shape out, and then some of these ideas kind of didn't pan out. So continuing on, I'll kind of explain that later. Must have had a fun night out. All the kids your age come here to sober up. And she's like, did I come in with someone? She's like, you did actually. You came in with another young lady. Don't know where she went. So she was with somebody. Where did that person go? And what's going on? So she's just kind of chilling, hanging out. I know I referenced many of these pictures. Just trying to like figure out what to do. So she starts rummaging through the bags, because she's just in a dress like this. She has no shoes on. So she finds some boots, and she finds a file folder, and it says Project Dragon Strike, 2 of 5. That was in reference to when I was writing some of my stories with Kyle and her in them. There was 5 total characters that I had part of this little group, and he was the main one, she was the second one, so that's kind of the nod, 2 of 5. But then she starts looking through this file, and there's a couple of photos of her, but all the information, the pertinent, like important information, is redacted. So why is that? What's going on? Like she can't even get information from that. But it just says subject Bliss. Real name, don't know, alias, don't know, date of birth, don't know. And then she pulls out this like chain, and there's some kind of weird key on that. Okay, what's going on with that? And then she pulls out this device, and like, what the fuck? And there's weird buttons on it. And she presses a button, and it comes out, it extends out, kind of like a switchblade kind of thing, but it's a sword. So like it's kind of hard to tell, but you get the idea, like how big the handle is and how long the sword, like the blade, would be. Yeah, I think I stole this idea from Rob this sword from another sci-fi idea he had developed, and I was kind of doing it with him a little bit. And then we seemed like we abandoned that idea, and I wanted to give her a weapon. So I'm like, oh, let's do that sword, and so it's a nod to that, And so like the sword extends, she's like, what the fuck? And like no one noticed, and it retracts back in. And she just kind of freaks out. And she just has to get out of there. So she runs out. The dude Kyle there kind of notices. Yeah, and there's Rob. So she bursts out, runs around the corner, and then she's like confronted suddenly. Somebody's like flashing lights on her. I tried to draw like the shadow in the alleyway, and it's the police. That's a horrible fucking car, like police car right there. Just looks like shit, but you get the idea. These two police come out, and they're like, where are you off to? What's your name? And she's like, I can't remember. That was kind of a big thing. I wanted to do like a big face shot. I don't know if I referenced that. I'm guessing I did, but it's possible I didn't. Some I know definitely like I referenced. Like I think I got reference from that, but this I'm not so sure. These I drew on my own. But she can't remember. She just doesn't know. And these guys give each other a look, and then they just start like handcuffing her, like violently. And she's like, what? Why? It's like, because I said so. And we've all heard and seen stories of like police brutality and cops, and I think around this time, like that was being more in the media than usual, but that was not my intention at this time. It was supposed to be she's being attacked by like people that you're supposed to be able to trust, like people who are there to protect you, but these guys are being extremely violent with her. And he's asking, is it there? Because he's got her bent over there like a little pervert dude. Didn't mean to do that. And he pulls out the key, and he's looking at it kind of with like a glint in his eye, like, oh my God, I found it. And then he's like, fucking kill her. She's like, what? And like her instincts like take over, right? Throws her head back, just breaks this guy's nose right there. Throws a kick, hurt, like probably busted even more. This other older cop, I should have put him like a mustache. How do we have a cop without a mustache? And she still got the cuffs on her, right? And he pulls the gun, and she's straining, and she fucking breaks the cuffs, right? And I wanted this to be a powerful image, kind of almost Superman-esque. She's nowhere near that power level, but just like the image of her breaking the chains, like all these little pieces would have break like that. No, but I wanted to show like the power of it, make it a cool, powerful image. So she gets free. This guy starts shooting, but she uses this asshole as a human shield. You can see I'm skimping on fucking backgrounds because, I'm me and I'm horrible at backgrounds. So she kicks this guy forward, comes tumbling into him, and he shoots at her more as she's diving over this car. She takes refuge behind the car. She's still firing, and he runs out of bullets. Click, click, click. I definitely referenced that right there. But she sees the sword here from earlier, right? And she flings at it. This guy probably could have, like, I don't know, reloaded or something, but I wanted him to come at her. I put some graffiti back here. This says The Leaf. That's from an independent comic company where they did these comics. The Leaf, Robert was like huge with them. I did a couple covers and stuff with them, so that was just a little homage for them. So she runs for the sword, grabs it as he's coming at her, and she, like, again, instinctually just extends the blade and runs it right through this guy as he's coming forward. Are they on the same plane as this car? Probably not. Weird perspectives. Don't at me. I was trying. And she just has this like rage look, like, fuck yeah. But then she like realizes, like, what the fuck did I do? And she just drops everything. This blade probably should have blood on it, right? Car's behind her with the lights on her. And she just like sees all the blood. I'm actually kind of proud of these hands. I think I did those by looking at my own hands somehow. But she just has blood all over her. And there was a thing I wanted to do, and I do it here, where you can see like there's this tattoo on the guy's hand. It's supposed to be of the skull. And I forgot until later that I wanted to make that a more prominent thing. People with these tattoos are no good, right? And I kind of forgot. I'm like, fuck, I got to throw that on there. Plus, I also have like these symbols. Am I getting on the sword? Where's the camera? Right? I actually have those symbols tattooed on me. Again, that's an homage to Rob and some of the designs that he had done with this old sci-fi storyline that he was developing. And again, I was like kind of jumping on that with him. With like we enjoyed doing stuff together. You know, I wasn't trying to like, hey, you're doing a thing, let me jump on that and do it. You know, I just like we like doing stuff together and collaborating and like, you know, having our own like spin-offs and like having them come together. It's fun, right? So I always like those designs, so I tattooed them on me, and then I kind of made it part of this story. So she picks up the key here and runs off. And as she's running away, there's these legs right here. And so I intended to have, like, there was somebody watching her as she ran off. And it was supposed to be the person who was with her earlier. Transition scene with the city. So now it's morning time. It was nighttime, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, it's nighttime, so hopefully everyone understood that. Now it's morning. She's walking down. She's still bloodied. And there's these construction guys. And yeah, I think Robert mentioned this, and he was 100% right. I took a screenshot of these two guys. They was in Muppets Take Manhattan, as these construction guys were like catcalling Miss Piggy. And I wanted the same thing going on, but they're doing it to her. I always enjoyed this this drawing right there. I was able to do that out of my head, and that I think that did convey the emotion that I was going for there. Often, as an artist, you have an idea in your head of how you want something to come out, but very rarely does it come out how you envision it. I think this is one of the times that I kind of nailed it from what I was envisioning in my head. So these guys are catcalling her like, "Hey, sweetheart, how you doing?" Like, "Rawr." And then they notice that she has all this blood and stuff on her. And the intention was, I don't want to say subvert expectations, because now you think of Rian Johnson and The Last Jedi and the shitstorm that was that movie. But that's what I was kind of going for. Like, you have police here who are supposed to be the good guys, and they are turning on you, and then you got these like douchebag construction guys and this big like strong black man who can often be portrayed as like the bad guy. But I wanted these guys to be like, you know, they're doing kind of dickhead things, especially these two, but they're just nice. They're just guys, you know, and they're not evil. And they're like, as soon as they see like something's going on, they want to help. So go get a first aid kit and some water, go running off this fucking fence. Like, what is going on there? It's like, it was just perspective down here and it wasn't up here. Like, it's just fucking whatever. And so, you know, she's like, "Don't worry, we're going to get the police." And she's like, "No police." Like, she just had a run-in with the police. She doesn't want them around, but she needs the help. He's like, "You need help." She's like, "No police." And she yells at him. I feel like I was inspired by this from something, but now I can't remember. So she passes out, but it looks like she's getting like pleasured right there. Yeah, right? So then it cuts to this weird dream state, you know, we got this sword floating over her. She's on this altar of some kind, these candles. And you have this, what looks like an angel and like a devil. That's not what I was going for, like an angel and a devil on like her shoulders, but that's kind of what I see later. But they're these two like mythical beings. Like, who are they? What's going on? She's talking to him, calls him my lord. There's still much we do not know. He's like, time is running out and the shadow looms over us all. Begin the ritual. So when I say the shadow looms over us, when Rob and I were doing our comic books back in the day and doing it with each other and building up like our own superhero universes, we made a big overall threat, kind of a main villain, you could say, that I had named Shadow Knight. He was kind of the big main evil person. And this character, who I'm just going to tell you now is named Dragon Lord, they were like long things, but they were like the opposites of each other. Like they were the good and evil, right? So when he says the shadow looms over us all, that's kind of like a hint at somewhere down the road that might be a thing that she had, like, is involved with this. Not in these 5 books at all, and I don't know if that'll ever be a thing. I have thoughts of what to do with it, but I don't know when that's ever going to be. Anyways, so she has this weird dream, right? And then, it transitions and someone's like, so you just found her? And she's waking up. Okay. And again, she doesn't know where she's at. And she wakes up kind of startled again. And she's like, what the fuck? And there's the guy. This guy's name is Dwayne. She calls him Dwayne here. And I named him Dwayne after The Rock. And I use a lot of reference from The Rock to draw him, his physique. It's not so, like, this guy is like a black man. He's not like half Polynesian, half black like The Rock is. But that was just kind of a nod to him. And she's named Angelica. Spoiler alert, this character is this person and is this person who was watching and was with her at this time. But she doesn't know that, and there's a whole reason for that. But she says her name is Angelica. And Angelica, angel, that's what it is. So she's like, so he brought you to my place where you collapse outside of his work site. He's like, yeah, like I brought you here because she's taking some nursing classes, and she asked, what's your name, sweetie? And she's like struggling to remember. She just has these horrible memories of the last time she was asked that. Back here, what's your name? And she couldn't remember. And that's when they attacked her. So she's like, she felt that she needed an answer. So what she remembers is from this, just seeing this file right here, Bliss. And she says, Bliss, my name is Bliss. She's like, huh, is that your stripper name? And she's like, what? No, just checking. Geez, is Angelica your stripper name? It is, actually. Oh, I thought that was kind of funny. A nod to how I said her origins, where she was a stripper initially, and that's where, like, I was inspired by someone who was a stripper. So I didn't make her that, but this character was. Why? I don't know. And then they're kind of talking about, like, how they found her and what everything that had happened, and she was covered in blood. That's kind of a weird thing, and like, tell us what happened. So she tells the story, and then it ends. And then I woke up here. So here, I got 1, 2, 3, 15 panels right here of them talking back and forth. I'm kind of happy with it, putting a bunch of different expressions on it. I do a lot of digital stuff now, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe that's a fault of my own, where it might be too easy for me now just to draw one picture and just copy and paste it back and forth, so I don't like to save me time. But here I took the time to draw different pictures of each one, right? And this was also heavily inspired by the Savage Dragon and his origin issues. And in the Savage Dragon, he didn't have any memory of where he came from. And they had this same kind of thing. It's like, you don't have any memory. What are your parents' names? Don't know. Where did you grow up? No idea. Like, no personal information. It's like, well, what's your favorite movie? And she knows, Footloose. It's like, huh, well, that's something. I don't know if you can tell, but that's definitely The Rock's face right there. He's like, do you know your first birthday, your first kiss? He's like, no, no. He's like, what's your favorite food? Italian. She's doing this weird tongue thing. At first, and I said Italian because my wife loves Italian, but she also loves chocolate. I was going to say chocolate, but then, like, saying that to a black guy and doing this weird tongue thing, I thought it might be too, like, sexually innuendo. Who cares? But she knows the important stuff. All this was kind of inspired, like, from the Savage Dragon. He didn't know any personal information, but he knew pop culture, right? So they're kind of talking here more, and she's like, well, we kind of help runaways. I get more, like, there's a reason why they're doing this for her in this scenario. I'll talk about later as I get into some of the later issues. But she's like, yeah, we kind of help people in your situation, but you need to save up some money. You need to find a job. She's like, what? How do I have a job? I don't have an ID or social security number or anything. Like, you need those things to get a legal job, usually, right? Well, and she's like, well, with a body like that, I know for a fact that the club will let you dance for free, like pay you under the table. She's like, oh, no, thanks. And she's like, okay, it's either that or working the construction site with Dwayne and the boys. So it's like, hey, you're a hot woman. I took the opportunity right there. And hey, with a body like that, like you don't have a lot of options. You have to work under the table. You work as a stripper or you work as a construction worker. What do you want to do, right? So she thinks about it. She wants to be a construction worker. Again, kind of subverting expectations was my intent. So, construction site, high-rise building here. She's high up there doing some welding. Kind of cool. Look, I think I definitely had to look at some stuff of people welding and try to do my best there, like the gear they wear and everything. And so, but her name is Bliss. That's what everyone calls her. Like, they have no other name for her, so they call her Bliss. And there's the two guys from earlier, and, they're waving to her. And she's like, hey, we're going to get a beer. You come? He's like, no, I'm hitting the gym tonight. He's like, don't stay too late unless you want the Reaper to get you. Again, someone's saying about the Reaper, like it's a urban myth or something like that. Don't let the Reaper get you. So, again, is this perspective good? Probably not. I don't know. But she goes up to this old truck that she was given, or maybe it's a work truck. I don't know. But she puts in, she starts with a, it's connected to her stereo here. I can't remember. Would this have been an iPod or just a phone back then? I don't know. But I put the musical notes in it. And I did this in most of my comics. I put some kind of song in several of the issues, at least these first 5. And that was my way of putting music into this, where you put just the lyrics in there. And if you know the song, you're able to hear the music inside your head, was my intent. And it seems to work with most people who've read this. And if they know it, these lyrics are from Footloose. It's the scene where Kevin Bacon, Ren, he's all pissed off and he's doing gymnastics and stuff. And he's all emotional and drinking. So I'm going to sing it here. Rob, I'm sorry. I know you don't ever want to hear me sing, but fuck you. I feel your heart. It's beating time with mine. But love is on the line. Right? He holds you down. But I know you want to run. I took the opportunity there. But you're hot. And I try to do kind of a hot picture when it says hot. Loaded like a gun. Oh, you feel so trapped and confused. Do. Start with nothing and you've got nothing to lose. So she's kind of getting ready, reaching in this bag. It's the same bag that she had earlier. She left that bag. Who cares? Putting on these little booty shorts, putting her hair up in a braid, putting some wraps around, over her fingers. And then a cool montage shot, right? You can never, 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 ever hide your heart. Don't ever, 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 ever try it. So she's continuing to do like just she's training herself. She's learning her body and like the limitations of what she can and cannot do. And she just finds that she's like extremely like athletic. She's strong. She knows she could bust things. She's supposed to be doing like push-ups, like handstand push-ups right here. And she's supposed to be like kind of up high on the beams, like kind of figuring out her agility and all that. You know, she's throwing a kick there, kind of throwing a punch there. If you don't give your heart wings, you'll never, 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 ever fly. She's swinging around. And the music continues, and this hand comes out of nowhere and throws this weird kind of fucking batarang thing. Break down the walls, and it hits her, cuts her right across the legs. And I thought it was appropriate. Well, you've got to cut the ties. Cut. Well, there's pain. She fucking falls down onto these pallets and shit. That'd probably kill another person. I don't know how high she was up, but she, like, you know, she's strong. So she's not dead. And it's kind of it comes back and he grabs it. It's time to fight. Well, it's time for tearing free. It's time to fight. This guy's ready to fight. Well, come, running straight to me. She says, ow, right there. And then this foot comes up, and you see this like weird boot. It's like, I've been looking for you for a long time. And now that I've found you, I can make you pay for ruining my life. And like, what the fuck is this guy? Like, this guy, like, this was kind of supposed to be like the shock ending. Like, this is kind of a superhero dude. Like, is this the world that we live in? Like, at the time, like, there was nothing like that going on. Now there's a superhero and Constructicons back there. You know he don't love you like I do. No. Well, you know he don't love you like I do. Don't make believe that you don't feel it too. Whatever. So that's kind of the end. And continuity error. She falls. Her hair comes out of its ponytail. You can see her hair's out. But then it's back in its ponytail right there. So whatever. And then that's to be continued. So then, like, I did do a Kickstarter on this, and it was successful. I did 2 Kickstarters. The first one wasn't successful. I put too much. I was asking for too much. I needed, like, I learned from it. And then I did a second one. I only made like a couple $1,000s, but it was enough to kind of get me a good 250 copies printed. And then these are just some sketches of Bliss that I had done throughout the years in pencil there. And so these were all names of people who supported the Kickstarter and the Comics Wellspring. That's where I get all my stuff printed currently. So that's the first issue. And it's funny, like, I can flip through this and just, I'm taken aback by like so many things that I was doing in my life at the time. This took me a year or so, like each of these 5 issues, especially doing them on traditional pen and paper, pencil and paper, and inking it myself. I did all the lettering. I like taught myself, like I just did a lettering program and just did the lettering myself. I didn't do it by hand. It was on the computer, but I had to like learn how to do that and learn all those things. So I was creator, writer, penciler, inker, letterer. Like I did everything I did on this except for the colors, because I'm not a colorist. I've done some coloring lately on my iPad with Procreate, just because like I can kind of fake some coloring when it's like basic shapes. Like I can do a cover, I can do like bodies. I couldn't color all this. I had no idea like what to color certain things like walls and stuff like that and how to do shadows. But as you can see, like, I struggle with backgrounds, but at least like I establish where they're at. Like they're in a diner here, so you don't have to show that they're in a diner every single time. Maybe it would look better if I did, but hopefully like you're engaged enough with the story where that doesn't matter. But you know, I was working a full-time job. I was working graveyard shifts, so I was doing a lot of this at work at night, but I only had so much time each night. Plus, you know, doing things like just in your regular life, like relationships and whatever. It took me a year to do everything and get it in time for the Comic-Con that we have here in Salt Lake that Rob and I have been to several times. But yeah, established like that they're outside, they're in a alley, don't have like the backgrounds here, or 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 here. Oh, I got some there. Or there, or there, or there, or there, or there. Oh, I got some there and there. So hopefully like you're reading it and like it's not that big of a deal. If I was able to do this full time professionally and I was being paid for this and this was my job, I would 100% be putting more effort into a lot of these things. But, you know, self-taught, and you do it when you have the time, you do the best that you can, right? There's a tangent line coming from her arm there into that line of the wall right there. That's kind of funny. You know, are the perspectives all lining up? Don't know. I'm not great at perspectives. I'm not great at backgrounds. One could say I'm not good at anatomy and figure work anyways. But I had a story that I wanted to tell. And what's funny is the story, as the story goes on, it changed. I had the basic premise of what I wanted to do and the villains and things that were going to happen. But as things came up through these different issues, the story changed with it. And I'll kind of explain more about that. But even the end didn't like end how I wanted it to be. I was actually only going to do 4 of these issues, but then I had more and I had to extend it to a 5th issue, which I didn't really want to do because that was another year out of my life to do that. I kind of wanted to get it done so I could kind of move on and keep going. There are 24 pages of interior art, not counting the inside front cover and back cover, not counting the front of the cover there. 24 pages, and I got that from, I mean, comic book page count can range anywhere from 18 to whatever. Like most are, I think, are 22. 24 is something I've always done because I did like 24-hour comic book days where you know, you sit down and you try and do 24 pages in 24 hours of the comic. Those are fun, and I have some of those that I'll show sometime. The art on there is real funny to look at. But so I always kept these page counts at 24. So I probably have a million more thoughts, and I'll talk about them as I talk about some of these other issues. But we got some other comics that I want to look at also. Thank you so much for watching this video if you have. I know it's not X-Men. I know it's not Avengers. I know it's not Batman. It's not a lot of stuff that people want to know. So if you watch this and listen to me ramble on about it, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. If you're interested at all in getting any of my comics, please hit me up. I have 5 issues that is like a one complete story. You could read all 5 of those and like get a full story. That's the origin. But then I did issue 6 that my brother Rob drew that I wrote. Then I did an issue 7 and issue 8. Then I need to do issue 9 next, and then I'm doing a side story based on this dude, and I'm on the 3rd issue of that. Plus I've done some stuff with Rob and his He-Man comic, so I got a lot of stuff. So if you're interested in these, you know, hit me up. We'll talk about like pricing on the issues and how I could get them to you through Venmo and stuff like that. So please let me know. At the very least, you can follow me on Instagram, Nortman Art and Comics. On Facebook. Instagram is Nortman Art. Twitter, I don't do Twitter anymore, so don't worry about that. Or if you're new to my channel, hit subscribe and hit that like button here. Thank you so much. And as always, I will see you on the next video.